What happens after the last breath? Does the self dissolve into empty? Or does it cross portals beyond human comprehension? Welcome, soul traveler, to the mystery of mysteries. Today we dive into one of the most profound and enigmatic texts of Tibetan Buddhism, the Bardo Thodol, or widely known in the West as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Imagine a guide that accompanies you through the deepest and most mysterious moments of existence. This is the role of the Bardo Thodol. And no, this is not just a simple manual on the end of life. It is a map, a spiritual guide for what happens right after death. Get ready, for together we will cross this portal, unravel its messages, perhaps come to understand a bit more about what it means to exist. The Bardo Thodol was created by Padmasambhava, a legendary and almost mythical figure in Tibetan Buddhism. Born in India, he is widely recognized as the one responsible for bringing Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. Tibetan tradition reveres him as Guru Rinpoche, which means precious master. But Padmasambhava was not just a monk. He was a deeply profound spiritual master, a yogi who mastered mystical techniques and esoteric teachings. The Bardo Thodol was born out of this master's desire to guide not only the living, but also the dead, offering them a path to liberation, even after the last breath. From a young age, Padmasambhava displayed extraordinary mystical abilities, being recognized as a Mahasiddha, a figure who has attained an extreme level of spiritual realization, developing spiritual powers, or siddhas, considered miraculous. He was invited to Tibet by King Trisong Detsen, who sought to expand Buddhism and strengthen the country, spiritually unifying the people under a single belief system. At that time, Tibet was a place of intense shamanic practices, an animist belief strongly rooted in the Bon religion, indigenous Tibetan spiritual practice. This diverse and even chaotic spiritual atmosphere presented challenges to the spread of Buddhism. Upon arriving in Tibet, Padmasambhava faced resistance from various cultural and spiritual forces. The local deities and spirits of Bon traditions resisted Buddhism, and Padmasambhava used his knowledge of magic and tantric ritualism to tame these spirits. This integration of Bon deities practices into Tibetan Buddhism was crucial to establishing a lasting spiritual foundation. Thus, Padmasambhava founded Tibet's first Buddhist monastery, the Samya Monastery, and began to transmit profound teachings about the mind, reality, and the cycle of existence known as samsara. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is an understanding that death is not the end, but a transitional state, a moment of opening to the possibility of spiritual liberation. Padmasambhava understood that at the moment of death, the mind enters a special state where, free from the distractions of the physical body, it becomes more receptive to the ultimate truth. He realized that this was a unique opportunity for liberation. But he also knew that most people, when they die, are lost in illusions and fears that keep them from this possibility. His mission was to create a guide that could be recited by those accompanying the dying, or even studied in life, so that the mind would be prepared for the Bardos, the transitional states after death. In essence, he wanted to ease suffering and open doors to enlightenment, even when everything seems uncertain and dissolving. This compassion is the foundation of the Bardo Thodol. He also knew that many might not achieve enlightenment in life, but he saw in death a last opportunity, and so he offered instructions for practitioners and disciples to recognize the clear light, the pure manifestation of the mind at the moment of their passing. The Bardo Thodol guides us through 3 main states, or Bardos, that every soul traverses. The Chikhai Bardo, the moment of death. In the Chikhai Bardo, the soul experiences the moment of death itself, a point of transition where the physical body dissolves. Consciousness is freed from its material limitations. Once the dissolution is complete, the soul finds itself before the primordial clear light described in the Bardo Thodol as a dazzling, pure, and immense light. The clear light is the manifestation of the absolute nature of the mind, a state of pure, unconditional consciousness, where there is no duality, fear, or attachment. Some know it as the higher self, others as the solar mind. There are many names for this state of totality and infinite peace. For the spiritual practitioner, the Chikhai Bardo offers the possibility of final liberation. If the soul can recognize the clear light as part of its essence, it attains instant liberation, nirvana, and there is no need to pass through the other stages of the Bardos. This recognition does not depend on rituals or doctrines. It is a direct and complete experience of the truth, where the mind sees itself, without filters or distortions. In this moment, all conditioning, karma, and identities dissolve. On the other hand, for those who are unprepared, the intensity of the clear light can be terrifying. The mind, instead of recognizing the light as its true nature, may interpret it as a threat due to fear or attachment to what is familiar. In this case, the soul retreats, losing the chance for liberation, and enters the next stages of the Bardos, where it faces increasingly distorted and limiting visions, according to its karmic tendencies. The Chönyid Bardo, the Bardo of visions. As Carl Gustav Jung once said, gods and demons are projections of the unconscious, powerful and inescapable, until understood as parts of ourselves. In the Chönyid Bardo, the soul finds itself in a state of consciousness, stripped of its physical body and within a dimension where tangible boundaries no longer exist. Here the soul experiences projections of its own mind, projections that can appear in both angelic forms and disturbing, frightening visions. This Bardo reveals the mind's essence, where all that has been repressed, desired, or feared emerges in an intensified form. The visions in the Chönyid Bardo directly reflect the emotional and karmic states accumulated by the soul over lifetimes. They manifest in two distinct forms: peaceful visions and wrathful visions. In the peaceful vision stage, the soul is greeted by visions of peaceful deities, which represent enlightened and benevolent aspects of consciousness. These figures may appear as Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or deities of light emanating the positive qualities cultivated by the soul. The peaceful visions offer serenity, but for the unprepared mind, they may be overwhelming or incomprehensible, leading the soul to retreat. In the wrathful vision stage, if the soul does not recognize the essence of the initial visions, it is gradually confronted by more intense visions, the wrathful deities. These figures represent fear, anger, and repressed desires taking on monstrous forms. But these are not external forces. They are you, the unhealed aspects of your own mind. The Chönyid Bardo is like a psychic dream state, but amplified. Everything is vivid, clear. The mind is unfiltered, raw. The Bardo Thodol teaches that if the soul can recognize all these visions as creations of its own mind, it can dissolve fear and attain liberation. The key, again, is the clear light, the sun behind the clouds of illusion. It is the source, the essence. Recognizing it leads to total freedom. But few recognize it. For most beings, the visions are so real, so filled with emotion and personal meaning, that it becomes nearly impossible to see beyond them. And so, the journey continues. The Sidpa Bardo Rebirth. In the Sidpa Bardo, the final stage, the soul faces a crucial moment, the choice of its next body, determined by karma. All our actions, all our intentions, they now return to shape the next life. Having passed through the previous Bardos, the soul now feels an intense pull, a desire to exist again. This desire is what drives rebirth. The soul is magnetically drawn to a new body, guided not by conscious decision, but by karmic tendencies and emotional patterns. In this Bardo, the soul sees visions of couples in union metaphors for the birth process. It feels a powerful urge to enter one of these scenes, to be born again. Unless the soul maintains awareness and detachment, it will be reborn again, caught in samsara. But for the trained mind, there is one final chance, a moment of clarity. If the soul can recognize the visions as empty, as projections of its own mind, it can choose not to return. It can liberate. This is why preparation begins in life. Through meditation, mindfulness, and reflection, we weaken the power of illusion. We train ourselves to let go, because ultimately, the Sidpa Bardo reveals a profound truth. That rebirth is not random. It is a mirror. It reflects us. If we are to be free, we must know ourselves. The Bardo Thodol is not just a religious text. It is a tool, a mirror, a map. It shows us that death is not the end, but a new beginning. As Ram Dass once said, when you die, there is only one question that matters. How much did you love? So ask yourself, are you ready for the final journey? Are you prepared to let go of everything you believe you are? Perhaps by contemplating these teachings, we can not only prepare for death, but truly learn to live. If this journey into the unknown resonated with you, share this video and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what intrigues you most about life after death. For the path of self-knowledge is long, and together we can explore the greatest mysteries of existence. Thank you for watching.